Oh, what legends we shall lead. No, wait. What legends we shall weave when we plant the seeds to succeed. Aloha and welcome so much, everyone, once again for joining in to another Paradigm Shift Central Synergy Circle broadcast, bringing together conscious creators and leaders working together to be able to help assist with the shift in consciousness. Shifters, light guardians, light workers, whatever you want to call yourself. Thank you so much for being here. If you're tuned in to our live audience, thank you for being a part of this circle, of this exciting opportunity for us to be able to come together, to be able to learn, to be able to help cultivate this energy of inspiration, and to be able to tell our story of how we are showing up to do the work, to plant the seeds, to change the world through the magic of our heart, through the magic of our art. And so once again, I am very excited to be able to have you here for our last official Paradigm Shift Central Synergy Circle for 2019. This is a really exciting one. And for those of you who may be here for the first time, my name is Brendon, aka Mystic Spider-Man on Instagram, Skull Babylon on YouTube. Also go by Wolf Shield. You've probably seen me broadcasting here or there. We also do a bunch of live tarot things online as well. But for these Synergy Circle broadcasts presented again on behalf of Paradigm Shift Central, this is about us coming together, leading members within the community, for us to be able to share and document the ways in which we are helping shift consciousness, how we are showing up in our community, how we are showing up online and in person, and for you to be a part of this story too, and for us together to be able to continue to cultivate this inspiration and to be able to bring the shift with us out into the world and to be able to help tell and share that story together. So we got some fellow amazing leading members here within this broadcast. So fellow leading members, I just want to be able to invite you to gently unmute your microphones, and we'll make some animal wooing noises to be able to send some love to the people tuning into this. So go ahead, add a little wolf howl in there. Gently unmute your microphone when you're ready. Make some noise. Send some love. Awesome. All right. Thank you again, everyone. As I said, I'm here, Brendon, and we also have Alanna and Panda, and we also have Lilly, aka Inner Flame, here as well for this broadcast. If you're tuning in on YouTube, please feel free to just share this broadcast with your friends, smash that like button. If you're tuned in on Facebook, keep sharing it. Maybe there's some groups on Facebook you want to share it to, and jump over to YouTube if you prefer to watch it on YouTube, whatever works for you. But know that subscribing to YouTube will allow you to stay synced up with future broadcasts that we do, which is every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so just as a quick introduction and a bit of a what to be able to expect from this broadcast, I'll just tell you a little bit more about the vision and the intention behind Paradigm Shift Central and how you too can be involved and even be a part of these broadcasts. And again, just kind of setting the space for us to be able to share ways in which we are helping shift consciousness, be it again through media that we're creating and also through local community events and even just personal transformation. That's a big part of the story. So I got a few updates that I'm really excited to share, and then we'll pass the talk and stick around. And then from there, once we've kind of gotten a little bit of an introduction, we learn a little bit more about who each of these people are within the team, and to give you, the listening audience, an opportunity for you to be able to connect with the leading members who you get to meet through these broadcasts, and for you to be a part of this discussion as well. And then after that, we're going to kind of shift into this, and it'll work into the first part too, but it'll kind of be this anchoring in of the intention to practice sharing our visions for 2020, sharing our intentions, things that we can just kind of that really feel are on their way. And that is a big part of what we're doing here, is we're helping kind of align with those futures and anchor them in very tangible, feet to the ground, hands in the dirt, hands on the paintbrush, being able to, open our arms, change the world through the power of compassion, be it free hugs, shiftivism of any form. And yeah, just kind of getting an idea of what in 2020 is ahead of us, and what things are there that are really worth our attention, and also things to start getting excited about now as well. So that's going to be a chance for us to just practice exploring that conversation here together. So again, for those of you tuned in at any point, welcome. If you haven't already yet, be sure to check out paradigmshiftcentral.com, and you can explore more there. Paradigm Shift Radio on iTunes for the past broadcasts, and again, all the past broadcasts on youtube.com/Skull Babylon as well. So just as a quick overview, this project began like 10 years ago when I started as a single club in my college with the intention to create space for people to come together to practice talking about the things that we wouldn't normally get a chance to talk about, such as metaphysics, spirituality, consciousness, mindfulness, psychedelics, UFOs, Sasquatch, you name it. And out of this was kind of, even before 2012 was like really on a lot of people's radars, but from my own personal feelings, I was like, okay, if we build this, they will come. And in addition to being able to create the space for people to practice talking about the things, it was also a chance for us as consciousness to be able to see more of ourselves. Since then, the project has really, really evolved. And in addition to its origins, which is very heavily kind of oriented around the idea of encouraging people to create these physical meetups. So we've gone through these different chapters within Paradigm Shift, and a big part of it back in like the 2020 like years, back when Facebook was kind of a different platform, was really encouraging people to create a Paradigm Shift community where they were as well. So I'm the facilitator for Paradigm Shift London, Ontario, Canada. And historically, like as we kind of did Paradigm Shift, there was a period where there, on Facebook at least, there was like over 50 other Paradigm Shift communities. Things kind of like shifted and moved around since then. And again, Facebook change kind of just like really invited us to just kind of like reorient how we were working tactically online to be able to organize. Now, a lot of the focus within Paradigm Shift, the community thing is a big part of it. But right now, a big part of it is also being able to create the space to be able to support fellow conscious creators and leaders, people such as myself who are creating YouTube videos, who are creating inspirational content on Instagram, who are providing service and value to the community. And one of the visions within Paradigm Shift that I personally hold is over the next 5 years to be able to help at least 100 fellow conscious creators to become self-sustained in doing what they love, to be able to help make a difference in the world. Basically helping them develop regenerative income on a regular basis so that they can kind of like get beyond the 9-to-5 matrix and allow us to really show up and just continue to dedicate our attention and our time and our focus and our energy towards our spiritual service, towards being able to help connect with people where we are online, provide our value. And that vision, in addition to, you know, all the other parts of Paradigm Shift, such as the community involvement and everything, is something that, again, is a very powerful goal that can help us accelerate the shift in consciousness and help lead the way for what might be 100 creators can eventually become 500. Why not 1,000? We are at the point where literally anybody, any sort of creator, can find a way to work with platforms such as Patreon, which is something that we use here within Paradigm Shift Central, to develop a relationship between themselves and their community, and to be able to create that support that allows them to focus more on doing what they want to do for a living. So that's where within the community right now, the big aspect of it is really oriented around entrepreneurism in a sense, conscious entrepreneurism. And so again, for me, building my Patreon has been something that's been an ongoing learning experience. And now we're kind of at this point where we're helping other people build their Patrons too. And it may not necessarily be Patreon. And for those of you who aren't familiar, Patreon itself is a platform where people can support artists they like with monthly contributions, and in return get special rewards and perks and benefits. And so within our Paradigm Shift Central Patreon, the one that's like under my name directly, which supports the time that I invest as the director for the project and doing what I do and showing up to create the value of these broadcasts, we have the opportunity to invite people to be involved as leading members in the community. So if you sign up on the Patreon, the invited amount on the Patreon is the $11 amount or higher, and when you sign up on that will give you the opportunity to be able to join the leading members aspect of our community, which allows you to be on air for these broadcasts. And it also gives you access to me as a private conscious media creation coach, which is something that I've set as having like a value of like over like $250 a month. And that's accessible to you for as low as $11 a month. And again, having that opportunity to not just support the team and support me, but also to be supported in return and to be able to invest in yourself and get that value back. So the model that I'm kind of using with Patreon is something that can be mimicked by other creators in their own ways. If they're creating kind of like their own communities and they're doing their own broadcasts and they're inviting people to support on Patreon. So again, it's kind of this idea, if I can do it, you can do it, and let's help each other do it. So if just before we get into this, again, just to create some context, if this is your first time here and you're thinking about like, yo, I want to create conscious media, I want to create YouTube videos, I want to build a community, I want to build my Patreon and be able to have like that full-time ability to invest in this, definitely check into our Patreon, and the link for that is in the info for this video on YouTube and Facebook, patreon.com/Brendon Culleton. And again, having access to me as like your private conscious media creation coach is a great way to be able to help get clarity on next steps and to be able to assist you and brainstorm. And over time, together, we're working towards this ongoing objective of just being able to increase our global impact. And so in addition to this, what you'll find is that the people within the community, there's this story that's being told, and that's the really exciting part about what it is that we're doing here. And the story is each and every single one of us are these people who have this calling inside of us to want to help make a difference in this world. And we've been working in kind of different ways over the past like 10 years, a lot of us, and we've kind of been developing these different skills and developing expertise in a lot of different fields, and still learning ultimately. And now we're at this point where a lot of us are like coming together, and so it's like this assembling of like a superhero team, and it's very much like this archetype of bringing people back to the round table. And that's why we call this synergy circle. So kind of inviting in that mythos of, you know, the Arthurian round table legend, where each of us is a modern day Jedi, a knight, a light guardian, a shifter. That story is something that I invite you, the person listening to this, to see themselves as a part of, and to know that out of these broadcasts and out of your individual conscious media creation and your Instagram and just your day-to-day lives, together we're collectively like creating these ripples that make waves, and everyone has a part within this bigger story. And so what you'll see here is that as we go around the circle and introduce each other, each of us have, you know, really like, again, you're going to get a variety of different leading members. Like I said, some of us have been doing this for like 10 years. Some of us may be brand new to this. And again, if you are brand new to this, I invite you to consider getting involved with this community if you feel called, in addition to just watching, as a great way to be supported and kind of stepping into that leadership, because there is a leader inside each and every one of us. And some of us have, you know, like experience in facilitating community events. And so that's a big part of what we do, where it's like, okay, let's do stuff online, but then let's go out into our community. And for those of you who are familiar with my videos, you'll see me doing that a lot through things such as like free hugs. And I've done this plenty of times, and this is a great thing that anybody can do, and they can replicate it. And then again, maybe you want to create something similar to a paradigm shift community, where you're creating open-minded discussion meditation circles and inviting people together to be able to help practice having conversation, to celebrate. You can orient it around like ecstatic dance, sound healing meditation. There's really like so much potential. And so again, that's kind of the vision. That's what we got here. If you have any questions, message me on Instagram. Check out our Patreon just to be able to see there. Another quick thing that I'll just mention real quick, and then I'm going to share my updates. When you sign up for the Patreon, you can also get the option to be able to claim a Lumerian Light Guardian Crystal at the $11 amount, which is like super awesome value. These things in themselves, like depending on the size and everything like that, like this one is like valued at like over $100, and they're just going to keep like increasing in value. So that's an additional incentive and a gift as a thank you for those of you who are signing up on the Patreon at the $11 level or higher. And you can check out the other tiers and the other rewards and value that we offer there as well. And with that said, I'm going to kind of shift here into a couple updates that I have to share in terms of me sharing what have the ways been that I've been helping assist with the shift in consciousness over the past couple weeks since the last time that we did our broadcast. And yeah, just sharing some really exciting news about what's happening on my end in terms of some local community event, in particular, literally some updates just as of today. So first off, I'll just share on Christmas, I was on Christmas Eve, I was out there doing free hugs, and I live broadcasted this, and I created a video for this, and I uploaded this video to Instagram and to YouTube. And when I was out there, I was inviting people to, like, what I do when I do free hugs while broadcasting on Instagram is I have it on a selfie stick, and then I have the camera facing me. And I'm telling you this because this is something where, like, I want you to think, oh, I could do this too. And I have the camera facing me, And then when people come up and they hug me, it was an opportunity for me to be able to invite them to share something on camera. And so I would ask them on camera, and in this context, I was like asking people, I'm like, hey, what does the holiday spirit mean to you? So the vision for this was to literally live broadcast me doing free hugs, to get these little snippets and these little highlights, and then to edit together this video in post-production afterwards, where I could download it from my Instagram lives and then edit it together on my desktop. And yeah, and it turned out to be this really cool video. And again, with the free hugs, like, it's such a powerful thing where you never know how far one hug can go. And also, when we were doing it, for those who aren't familiar, while we were doing free hugs, that's where you see the signs, and those are items we provide through the store to be able to help assist you. We also have the shift buttons, and the shift buttons have all sorts of conscious imagery on them. So here's just one example of the Metatron cube, and that has the Paradigm Shift Central website on them. And so these are just tools and examples to be able to help make things exciting and easy for you, and to do things like free hugs, to give out shift buttons, to connect people with the project, connect people with these broadcasts, to connect them with the bigger story. And so just as a quick update, yeah, I did that. And again, as I was doing that, I was also just like literally kind of, again, keeping an eye out for people on the street, just being a presence in my community and connecting with people and having conversation. And if you are doing a live broadcast of yourself doing free hugs, it's a great investment to get a selfie stick, and then to get into the habit of, again, like honoring people's choice to like want to be on camera. So instead of like turning the camera on them and be like, hey, do you want to ask a question? Instead, you keep it on you and be like, would you like can I ask you a question on camera? And then again, make sure that the consent involved when it comes to like filming is always something that you're keeping in mind, especially when it comes to live broadcasts. So that's a little bit more of an advanced thing, but again, just something to keep in mind, because what happens if there's more of us out there who start doing things like live broadcasting us doing free hugs? And when we do something like that, the idea there is that it creates like a trend. It creates a habit. It creates something that people can kind of like begin to replicate in their own way. So if you are posting free hug content on Instagram or Facebook, I invite anybody here to use the hashtag #FreeHugsForever. And even if you're going out and doing free hugs, sometimes if it's your first time, you might not be fully comfortable to film it. That's cool. What you can do is like take a picture of yourself like holding your own free hug sign, make it on your own. You don't have to get one from me, and then you just like share that. And it could just be a picture of you with your free hug sign, and it can be a before and after. Maybe if you find you're in a genuine connection with someone, you could turn the camera and be like, hey, can we take a selfie together? And again, a lot of people actually get very excited about that. They're like, yo, this is something really important. This is something really different. This is something that's needed right now in the world, you know, in a very big way. So just a quick note on that, Augustina, who's one of our leading members who isn't here at the moment, but she gave me a quick update that I'm just going to pass on, where over the past week, a package that I sent her with some shift buttons, there was like over like 40 of them that I sent her. She like gave those out over the weekend or over the week, and just like was really excited. She's like, yo, I handed all these buttons out and it worked. And again, where she is, she'll be able to tell you more about it during a broadcast when she's on air. But she's kind of like trying to bring a lot of love to the streets, and especially where it's needed, and where people, you know, maybe less fortunate and things like that, and just changing the story of your city. And this is where, for those of you who are tuned into this, and there's like, you know, my YouTube channel is called Skull Babylon. I'll just create a little context, because I'm sure some of you are just like, that's a cool name. Does it mean something? Very simply put, that name is kind of like actually our story in a very condensed form. If you look at it symbolically, Babylon kind of refers to culture, kind of refers to the mainstream. If you think about it that way, it's kind of got like the highest highs, the lowest lows. It's kind of everything that's kind of like, you know, like the Matrix can be thought of as Babylon in the same time. And then skull can be thought of as life and also death, and in particularly rebirth, transformation. So the phrase Skull Babylon literally refers to this idea of like changing Babylon from within. And that is the story of us going into our community, bringing love to the street corners, being seen, making ourselves like a part of the story of our city. Allow people to see you doing something as simple as free hugs as a shifter, and for them to like take that with them and tell someone else about it and be like, yo, there's these people doing free hugs downtown. Oh my goodness, like this is what, again, like, and then next thing you know, they are out there doing free hugs too. And so it's this very organic ripple effect of what happens. So doing free hugs on Christmas, that was really cool. That was Christmas Eve, and again, just made a video for that. That was really cool. Got a lot of feedback on that. I'll be doing more live broadcasts of free hugs as the seasons continue. And the other update that I just wanted to share real quick, I'm going to be doing a conscious movie review of Star Wars: The Last Rise of Skywalker. We won't be talking about that during this broadcast. I want to respect people for, you know, avoiding spoilers and stuff like that, but that will be something I'm working on. The other thing I'm just going to share here real quick, and then we'll pass it to Panda. Can I pass it to you next? Is that cool? And Alanna, okay, cool. Real quick, today something really exciting happened. And basically what had happened is that within my local community of London, Ontario, Canada, over the past several years, there's been a bunch of us who have been helping facilitate different events that have kind of had a conscious theme to them. Today, all of us got together and like sat down at a tea lounge in my city, and we all met, and we were all like, yo, like, let's share our expertise, share what we know, and start moving towards that idea of like bringing more conscious events into our city. Where can we collaborate? Where can we kind of like synergize? And so like there was, again, like I was there kind of and I'm like, hey, like, you know, I've been doing paradigm shift meetings for 10 years, and I've done like guided meditations and things like that. That's my expertise. And again, it's kind of very much a mimic of what we're doing here as leading members, is these leaders and just like super, you know, badass creators coming together. And then you had other people there, like one girl, she's like a Nicole, she's an expert in like sound healing therapy, so she's done some sound healing workshops. Some other people, they're kind of like more kind of like on like the traditional party vibe, but it was still like a good, like good vibes only was the name of their parties. Now it's Spencer and then there are other people, and they had like conscious events. So again, it was a really powerful discussion. And basically within that, I was kind of telling them that part of my intention for 2020, and I'll just share this real quick, is I've taken a break from doing my local paradigm shift community events just over the past little bit. But as I'm getting back into them for 2020, I'm going to be doing them. And some people have heard me talk about this before, and I've done this before, but I'm going to be doing more of it. This basic format of combining meditation, ecstatic dance, and open-minded discussion into a single 2-hour event. And basically it's a super simple format of like starting with guided meditation, and then transition to ecstatic dance. For those of you who don't know what ecstatic dance is, it's basically like mindful dancing, like no substance or anything like that, just meditation, yoga, kind of very flowy, whatever it needs to be, kind of a cadence to the music, and then move and transition into meditation, and then from that move into an open discussion that I would facilitate. I've done this event before, it worked, and now I'm going to be doing more of that. And again, I literally offer that as a model for other people to use if they're like, yo, okay, we're going to do some events here, like absolutely. And the name of those events were called Energy Exchange. I'm looking to do something of the sorts in late January or possibly mid-February, but in some form or another, I'm planning on kind of starting up the paradigm shift community events here in the community, and I'm really excited about that. And again, just this meeting that we had today, I just wanted to be able to share it because it felt really good just to be able to have these creators coming together. And I see that as a reflection of our story, where it's, again, kind of all of us have kind of been like figuring things out on our own for quite a while, and now we're kind of just naturally coming back together, coming back to the table and sharing our stories and just being like, yo, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing, and here's how we're doing it together. So those are my quick updates, and if there's anything else that comes to mind, I'll mention that later. But we're going to pass the talking stick over to Panda, and again, with the intention here, reminding the leading members, but also the people watching this, is that even when we do this is really just practice as well. So, you know, like for some people, I want, you know, for people who are thinking about being involved with Paradigm Shift as a leading member through the Patreon, know that we create these broadcasts for you to come on air, and maybe you've never been on a broadcast like this before, and it's a chance for you to practice talking, sharing your story, getting more familiar, and again, just kind of like being a part of what we're creating here as a badass team of shifters and light guardians. So we'll pass it over to Panda and Alanna, and you guys can kind of talk back and forth as you're doing this and kind of like merge your introductions if it makes sense. And yeah, and they'll tell us a little bit more about, you know, their experience, you know, what are some things they've been involved with in terms of either local community events, and maybe a little bit about, you know, what you're building, and again, just share with me and share with the team and give us us a chance to get to know who you are as a fellow superhero here at this roundtable. So, with that said, Panda, Alanna, welcome so much. Thank you for being here, and
What's
we'll
up?
pass the
Thank
talking
you.
stick over to you. Awesome. Go right ahead.
Thanks for having us. I'm Panda. This is
I'm Alanna.
collectively we make up the Nomadic Light Warriors. Overall, our collective goal is to raise the vibration of the collective consciousness. I've always had a stated goal since as long as I can remember that I just want to leave this world a better place than I came into it. And the goals and alignments of Brendon and Paradigm Shift Central align perfectly with what we're trying to do here as a collective. I'm very honored to be able to walk this path with my other whole, my twin flame, my soul partner, Lonnie. It's just, this is an amazing experience. As far as what we've been doing lately is in the conscious community, we're both yoga instructors. We took our yoga teacher training together in the Sacred Valley of Peru. It was a mystical yoga teacher training. It was very
amazing,
exciting.
yes. Amazing. Yeah. So yeah, we've been teaching yoga for the past year and a half, and so we taught a workshop at Halloween, which is a music festival at Live Oak in Florida, which was awesome. It was called Remind Yourself. It was Reiki meditation and yoga. I taught the yoga portion, and Panda taught the Reiki and meditation, and we had a wonderful turnout. And it was, we got the gig not soon after, our yoga teacher training, and we were like, what, this is sweet, we can do this, we can do anything, like we thought hula was so far out of our grasp, and we made it happen. And so we just know that anything else can as well. But yeah, it's been great. And we just want to help people connect better to themselves through movement and breath work, and any kind of energy work and connecting with nature and themselves. So thank you, stoked to be here.
Awesome. Thank you you two so much. And if you want, you can kind of even just tell us a little bit more about what you do, even from the conscious media side of things, or again, kind of like what you're moving into more. Creating YouTube videos. Do you have your YouTube channel? Is that something you're building? What do you kind of, because I know even before we were just kind of talking about the idea of like you guys setting up a Patreon or something like that, and how we can help with that. So yeah, you can dive in a little deeper, and again, plug your stuff, let people know where they can connect with you, because again, this is for everybody listening to this. This is an opportunity for you to be able to, not, again, you're not shamelessly plugging yourself. We're celebrating what we're creating here, and so give us an opportunity for us to be able to say like, like, fuck yes, like thank you for doing what you're doing. And I say that to everybody here. So let us know your where people can find you on Instagram and anything like that, and we'll post the links for them in the YouTube chat. So for everybody here who's tuned into this broadcast, be sure to connect with the fellow creators featured in this broadcast as well. So passing it back to you, go right ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah, so one of the things we are working on getting a YouTube channel set up and our Patreon as well. Right now I have a website. It's www.thereikipanda.guru. It's just kind of a site showcasing the things that I offer as far as teaching. I'm a Reiki master, a meditation teacher, and like I said, a yoga instructor. And I also offer spiritual consultations, miscellaneous things like whether it be tarot readings or talk therapy, coaching, conscious coaching, distance Reiki. We are also working on, as far as
for our Patreon videos, doing yoga, separate flows, whether it be like, it's short 10-minute or 20, 30, 60-minute flow. Usually vinyasa, we're trained in hatha vinyasa styles. And maybe more geared towards athletes or yin restorative. So we'll have an array of styles for that, and videos, and then meditation, and
lately here in the community, what we've been doing as far as offline is we've been giving the workshops that we were speaking of, the Remind Yourself workshop. I've also been leading some private meditation classes and yoga flows.
I'm also managing a social media account, Instagram, for a Tai Chi retreat. So it's really cool. Just learning more about, their principles. It's called Living with the Principles. So just learning about the history with their company and everything they stand for. It'll be in Jekyll Island, Georgia. So we're looking forward to that. Panda will be there as well. So it's an opportunity for us to connect with the community there and learn and just relax. So yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Other than that, in our local community, we're involved in. I'm also a practicing shaman. We're involved in a local shaman meetup. I've helped facilitate the Munaiki shaman
Mhm.
rites on a couple different occasions. We try to stay very connected and plugged into the conscious community around here, and we're based in Neptune Beach, Florida, which is Jacksonville, North Florida. All the stories you've heard about Florida are true, bad and good. I promise. It's crazy. I've only been here for 3 years, but I've seen it all. I have Florida people are wild. I love it. They're beautiful. I mean, my wife is from here, so I can't really complain.
Yeah, 904. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Other than that, I've released a book called 21 Days to Awaken Your Power. It was earlier, wow, almost a year ago now,
Mhm.
January. It's a basically a very short text, a day by day guide for an introduction to self development, mindfulness, and just different tips, tricks, and tools to get you started on the path. It's by no means a comprehensive guide. It's very short. It's about 56 pages, but it was kind of it was a channeled work of love. I remember. I wish I could tell you I remember writing it, but I sat down at the computer at the beginning of the time when I started writing it, and by the time I was done, almost a day and a half later, I don't really remember much except for it was written, and I had to edit it a little bit. But I mean, it was the labor of love, so it was a very uh, one of the mystical experiences that I've had this year. It's been a crazy year when it comes in regards to inner experiences and synchronicities and mystical experiences. I've found that my distant family members have roots in India that they helped found a town. So that's absolutely, just learning that this path, we're on it and we are aligned in ways that we can never even imagine has been just an absolute treat.
Mhm. Blessed. You're so blessed. And yeah,
That's
looking
awesome.
forward to, delving more and putting more attention and love into our own businesses. I've worked at a couple different jobs and it just hasn't worked out, and it's ended in a way where just over and over again I get to that fact that yep, I just need to be my own boss. I can't rely on someone else. I mean, of course rely on other people, but in terms of always checking in and building up someone else's business instead of taking the time and energy and putting it towards myself and my passions.
That's awesome. Sweet. So just and again just kind of like asking so I can see more of the picture from your end. How is the general like conscious community where you are? Like what would you say the ratio is 1 to 10 people if you were to ask them if they're aware that they're a multidimensional being having a human experience, how many of the 10 would be like, "Oh, I know what you're talking about." Give us a rough estimate.
Probably at the in the beach
Like
area,
3 to 10.
probably about 30%. It's not really that, which is
Yeah.
fairly hot,
That's
high,
decent.
Yeah.
but in Jacksonville as a whole, we probably drop it down to more like 1 out of 10.
Yeah, and that's a valid reflection of kind of again like where Babylon is in general, and again just to kind of we've talked about this in other broadcasts, but again as part of the story, by just to give us something to work towards by say 2030, let's assume that in some areas like that consensus, if you were to ask them that census, you would get like more than 5 would be like, oh, I know what you're talking about. And again, and I think that is happening because the awakening is kind of like happening on an internal level, and that's our job. That's what you're doing, that's what we're doing, is to be able to hold space for people kind of going through that period of having questions and needing other people to be able to say like, oh, like you're not crazy, like here's this is the natural part of kind of like waking up within the matrix and thing, and for us to again be there as leaders. And I'll just ask you this and then we'll kind of pass it again over to Lilly as well. What does it mean for you to kind of like be not I say a leading member in the context of paradigm shift, but also kind of like a leader within the shift? What does it mean for you guys to kind of, because you're exuding that you've already been practicing this. Being a leader is a natural part of your story and has been for the past again like several years that you guys have been involved in this. What can you, and again I'm inviting you so that you can see your own answer, but for the people out there who are taking inspiration from your leadership, what does being a leader mean in the shifting consciousness today?
It means being patient with yourself and everyone else, because we were in the same place where they were. At some point we were not awake and aware of life and everything like that. But being a spiritual leader is just, yeah, just being grateful for where you are and knowing that you have to keep the faith in yourself and trust in your process and in your path, and really fall back onto your circle and your tribe and everything like that. Everyone is there to help you and remind you of why you're here and to lift each other up.
So for me, it's just an overwhelming feeling of gratitude, because to get to the place I'm currently standing at today as a healer and as someone who's been pursuing the conscious path. And I came from a very dark and broken place that had to do a lot of shadow work and healing, where I was going down a path where at one point my drinking and was out of control, and there was a lot of bad things that were happening in my life. And then I came to a breakthrough point where through my meditative practices, where I realized that I could break out of the cycle on my own. And for me, being a leader in this community means giving that gift to other people and giving that potential to other people to help break that cycle, because I know what it means to be deep in that darkness where it feels like there's no way out, where it feels like there's nothing you can do. And without prescription pills or anything other than the help of yoga, meditation, and some plant medicine, I got my way out of that darkness up into the light. And I want to be able to help give that gift to other people. And to me, that's what being a leader means. It's, I've been there, and I want to help get people to where I am and above where I am. My goal really is my like vision is this thing I call the inverted healers pyramid. So every healer that I help uplift or teach or what have you, to be stronger than the next one in the line. And this finally, all the way down the line, is the most powerful, magnificent healer. And all the way at the bottom, the one who started it all is the one who just sparked the flame. And it's helping everyone grow to a point where you're just healing yourself. And that's all you really need.
That's
is
all you
that
need
self
to do.
that
Heal
self-love.
yourself, and everyone else will. You just lead by example. It's just about building yourself up.
Awesome. Great answer, you two. Beautiful. And again, like just that's such a big part of our story as leaders. It's like, oh, what's that? You want to know how to like solve the problems of the world? Okay, sweet. Do it yourself first, and then you can kind of like do it on the big scale and everything like that. So, that's ultimately a theme that we'll kind of see, is that like for a lot of us who are a part of this community and tuned into these broadcasts, it's like, yeah, like we're here to, I don't want to just say do the heavy lifting, but to like do the deep, like what, oh wow, that word just kind of slipped my mind, transmuting, to do the deep transmuting, to transform, to be able to again kind of like shift things from one vibrational state to another vibrational state through action, through will, through direct experience, through art. So all of those things. So sweet. All right. I'd love to, again, we're going to pass over to Lilly. And when we kind of come back, we'll kind of get a little bit more just chit chat back and forth from us here at the table to be able to explore more of, what does 2020 kind of look like? What intentions are we bringing into it, both individually as entrepreneurs and again, kind of for the collective community that is, going through the shift in consciousness together. And I saw there was people asking in the chat, your book is available on your website, I assume, Panda. And so for those people looking for that, you can find that through the link in the info down in the YouTube. So any broadcast, check the show notes in the YouTube info for links to all the creators. So make sure that you're connected with Alanna and Panda on Instagram. And again, the main website is for Panda is thereikipanda.guru. So GURU. And again, we'll put that into the YouTube links, the YouTube chat right now. Is there anything else that you guys just want to share real quick? Again, just kind of like words of inspiration or gratitude you want to express, please feel free to do that, and we'll pass over to Lilly next.
Just grateful to be alive and grateful to be here. Thank you all for tuning in. You guys rock. Woo! Aloha.
I am also super grateful as well to be here, to be by the side of the love of my lives. I see there's some questions in the chat, one specifically addressed to me. I'll get to it, I promise. Give me 1 second. You guys, thank you so much for watching. Brendon, thank you for hosting. Lily, thank you for being here with us, and everyone who's here watching and tuning in. Thank you so much.
Let's get this.
Awesome. We're doing it. Sweet. All right, Panda, Alanna, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so with that said, again, and yeah, absolutely. As we're doing the broadcast, I invite people, if they do have particular questions for Alanna or Panda, please feel free to put those into the chat. If they don't mention it, if they don't talk about it on air, they can reply to you through there. Or hey, it may even be a question where you might want to send them a direct message. Again, learn a little bit more about what they do and their services, and see if it might be something that is gonna align with what you're looking for. And absolutely, like, again, like 100%, if there's like something that Reiki and Alanna, Panda and Alanna have that is something of value that fits within your path right now, reach out to them, let them know, and again, support them in any way. And again, just connecting with them on Instagram, following their content, and keeping an eye on what it is that they're creating. So that's kind of part of the interactive invitation that we have here for any of the people involved as the audience members in the community here. So again, you are part of the team, and you are part of this team simply through your interaction through social media and supporting the fellow creators here on air. So with that said, we're going to pass it over to Lilly, and Lilly is also one of our fairly new leading members within the Paradigm Shift Central community. So this will be a first introduction for her to be able to share a little bit more about, again, like what she does, what services she offers, and and so we'll pass it over to Lilly, and then again from there we'll kind of transition into the general question as a group of visioning 2020, what that looks like, and all said and done, we'll probably be wrapped up this broadcast within the next hour, I would say. So Lilly, thank you again so much for being here, for adding your support, for sharing your gifts, for being a fellow badass superhero, and tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do. Thank you, Lilly.
Okay. So my name is Lilly. That was my birth name. I am adopted, but I got my name changed back to Lillian, which is my officially birth name from my birth mother. I can get into some of that later, but I just have to say, Alanna, I'm just sorry, I forgot your name. This is my first broadcast. I'm sorry. Alanna and Panda. I remember Panda.
Perfect.
I remember Panda now. It came to me, sorry. I just want to say that you guys were just exuding love. And I love that. I pick up on energies. It's one of my gifts. For a long time, I saw it as a curse. But I now know that it is a wonderful gift. And even if I didn't have this amazing gift, this intuition, you still exude love for all to see, no matter if they have the gift or not. It was very empowering. It was very inspirational, and it was hopeful. And I had some things planned to say, but I'm probably just going to put it on my Facebook page, because sometimes, holler if you hear me, the spirit just takes over, right? This higher power that's inside of us, it just starts to take over. And where you thought your ship was headed, you're just a vessel, right? Like, I'm just a vessel. And if you relate, so like, I'm in control, but at the same time, I am under guidance all the time. And I just, someone needs to do that. No, I just posted on my Facebook page too, which is Lily Love. And the scene in The Never Ending Story, I'm going to give my age away a little bit here. The Never Ending Story, where he goes up against the Sphinx, and they're like standing there, and they have laser beam eyes. And some days it feels like just walking out the door, I have that. Like, I better bring my best because I want to receive the best, but that's not, here's the trick to it. Well, not trick to it, but here it's coming from a pure heart. I purely want to bless others. And yes, I want to be blessed in return. You get out what you put in. And I know that it can sound cliche, but really, really just think on that. You get out what you put in. And you can think of that mentally. What are you listening to? What are you filling your minds with? Are you talking positive to yourself? Because sometimes it doesn't even have to be somebody external telling you negative things. It can be ourselves. Okay, it's a spiritual battle. Okay, and if you're here and you're tuned in, it's about finding that light within, being that badass, and knowing that you are untouchable. That if you are awake and you have a dream and you have a vision, then it probably started when you were young. And if it didn't, that's okay. But this is a great Patreon to be a part of. I hesitated and wish I wouldn't have. I really wish I would have just listened to my intuition. It just shows you how, like, compared to Panda and Alanna, I'm entry level. But guess what? My level, it doesn't matter where you fall. It doesn't matter. There's hope for all. Okay. Anything is possible when you believe. And having like somebody on earth, because so glad I can just be like family here. You have somebody on earth telling you you're doing the right thing too, right? We are only human. We could talk to our guides all day, but to have somebody in this flesh, right? Because we are spiritual beings inside this vessel, to meet another vessel and have them like just support you. And like a lot of us, I'm sure, you know, like maybe your family split, like half of them went along with you and half of them didn't, you know, because when you see yourself activated, when you see that, when you become awake, okay, you then know that you're not crazy. Well, or we are, right? They say if you say you're not, if you know that you're crazy, then you're not. And there's a lot of people going around and saying that they're not, and they're like the craziest people I've ever met.
Yeah, we just hear the music, that's all. So yeah.
But
Lily, tell us as you're doing this, go ahead, finish with your thought, and then tell us a little bit about, like, again, like, what are your services, what are you offering, what do you, because you and I have had this talk and we were brainstorming about it during our last
yes,
scheduled work period. So let people know kind of like, you know, because you're starting to do like one-on-one or like tarot
yes,
readings and things like that, and you got your
one on
candles and
one on
stuff.
one.
So
Thank
what
you,
does
Brendon.
Lily do? So go ahead.
Thank you, Brendon.
No
Thank you,
worries.
Brendon. So Brendon is very helpful on very many levels, by the way. But what I do is I make crystal candles, okay? And I have been obsessed with candles like my entire life. And so if you guys saw me like in the beginning, I was moving over here because I had my floating tea light candles. I swear I'm not repping for myself, but it was on the fritz. It was like popping, cracking, sizzling. And I was like, whoa, what is happening over here? So I just put them out. So my candles are very unique. Okay, I can make custom candles. A lot of my work is one-on-one, as Brendon said. It's just kind of been my whole entire life that people have came to me ever since I was just small. You know, people would come to me and feel like they could share intimate details of their lives with me. And so for me, especially being the energy absorber that I can be, if there's a lot of people, I can start maybe getting confused between someone else's energy and the one person. So maybe practice will make perfect with that. I'm starting to harness my gift. I'm also blessed with being a medium and being able to reconnect people who, you know, they're in between realms, and to be able to take someone in this realm and help them move on and into the next. Like, that's an amazing gift. That's an amazing power. I was born with that. I didn't do anything to conjure that, you know. My crystal candles I just make with love and positive intentions, and the different color candles represent something different. And so when I'm making the candles, I'm actually stirring the candles. I'm actually I'm thinking on what that candle represents. And I'm filling it with love, and I'm filling it with good intentions. And I hope I'm dropping some seeds in there. I drop crystals in there, but hopefully those crystals are seeds, right? Because based on the meaning of the color of the candle, I have a crystal that correlates. So I like to top all of them with like moonstone. I supercharge all of my crystals. Fire opal is another one of my favorites. Amethyst, great overall. Even if you don't get into crystals like I do, I've just always been obsessed with rocks in general. When I was little, I would grow, like the crystal rocks, like there were sets and stuff. And like, I just always loved picking them up because I could feel the energy. I could feel the energy, like this is alive. And I also have a nursery. I also own a nursery. Um, it's just a small nursery that I own in a little boutique. And this is a bromelade. I literally, they love the sun and stuff, but I wanted to feel its presence, its energy. This one is a pup. On my Facebook feed, you might see some gardening videos or something like that. I'm very connected with plants. I almost like would say that I intuit what they need. I mean, I don't think it'd be a stretch for me to say that.
Cool.
And as a
Lily, I'll
vessel,
ask you something in a second. Go ahead.
I feel like I intuitively know what they need. And I feel like, I've always related this to Alice in Wonderland, but no, I've always felt Pocahontas, Colors of the Wind. Everything is alive, sacred life. Okay, and I honor all of it. I honor all of it. And I actually have died and flatlined. I was in a coma. I had an out of body experience, and it was very impactful and powerful in my life. And I knew there were things I needed to address. I was meant to be here. I was meant to bless. And I was given some gifts on top of some gifts. Like I came with broken pieces and I was handed a crown. Like that kind of love, there are no words. Like when I like everyone's like, love isn't always the answer. But if they'll hear me out, I will get to where love is the answer. Like it always comes full circle. Yes, love in some way can impact the situation and be a solution. There is not a situation that love cannot resolve. And, for anyone who's teetering the fence about joining, I hope that I hope that you know that I'm actually somebody who suffers from a nervous condition. So, um, I was born like with it. I had a very traumatic past. So like this is huge for me. And I'm just so grateful for the opportunity and the
Thank you, Lily.
space and the place and just to feel like I have a voice and I'm blessed and I'm not cursed. And maybe some of you out there can relate to that. And you're kind of like on the fence, like, do I take the spiritual path or do I not? It wasn't even a question for me about 9 months ago when I started my spiritual journey. And my accident was in 2016 when I died. So, yes, at first I was physically recovering. And then one day I just looked in the mirror. I wasn't supposed to be able to walk. I wasn't supposed to be able to live. I wasn't supposed to be able to walk. I'm going to tell you the power of faith, the power of loving yourself, the power of loving others. Because I came back for those I love and those I didn't even know. I wanted them to get a little taste of that love that was given to me when all I had was pieces. I'm telling you, I was in pieces. And I was rewarded with a crown, and you are worthy. No matter what anyone tells you, you are worthy. And I'm sorry, guys. I'm just like super sensitive, and I hope that I haven't like this is positive tears, like this is happy tears. So like if you don't know me, like just know that these are happy tears.
I feel it.
They're not
Yes.
sad. They're joy. They're tears of joy, and I just feel so touched and so blessed to have some direction because that's really what this Patreon can do for you. It can kind of take all your gifts and I can read tarot cards, but like really, I don't know how to say it, but I don't really even necessarily need the cards to tell somebody like People have called me an oracle or something like that. But since my accident, now I can transfer energy and like, okay, be a skeptic until it happens, right? And then there's no skeptic once it happens. But one of the things that I was able to do, and I was able to confide in a good friend, actually, we became good friends that night because he had an ex-girlfriend that had passed away, and I had told him how she had, and like I was getting energy from her, and like she needed him to know some things. And then like I just felt intuitively that if I touched him like on his shoulder, that he would feel and smell, or whatever his memories were of her would come flooding back to him. And it ended up happening. So again, when I say I had gifts that I thought were cursed, no, I kept those gifts, and then I gained more. The only one that I didn't, thing that I lost is my singing voice. But I still love to sing. I still love to dance. There's not a day I cannot turn around with some music therapy. Like, I am 100% sober. I will tell you that part of my story and part of my accident does include self-medicating. Okay, so I have been away from that since 2016. So if you're in the middle of that, know that you're stronger, not weaker. Okay, so like it makes you stronger. And I actually made a deal with God. Someone needs to hear this. Okay, I wasn't going to share, but somebody needs to hear this. I was making great money. I was living the American dream, right? Keeping up with the Joneses, I had all the newest stuff, and just thought that, but I wasn't happy. So I went in search of something to ease this pain because, but I knew because of who I am and who I was born to be, it didn't like mesh. So there'd be some people who would be like, you're a buzzkill or whatever, because I never lost that conviction. And I made a deal with my higher self, or God, whoever you consider, just, a higher being, okay, source light, connected with that source light. And I said, if I cannot stop this on my own will, then take my life, because this is not who I am or who I'm supposed to be. And I would rather die and than to keep going this way, not living the way I should. 3 days later, I was given 0% chance of life, or hope of life. I had pneumonia so bad. I had walking pneumonia. I had sepsis because the poison went in my blood. And then I had a heart condition that my birth mother, who passed away when I was 3, had predicted for me, that and I'm going to give my age away, at some point in my life, I was going to have heart problems. But I was living too fast and I was thinking too slow. And, but even in the midst of that, in the midst of all that chaos and in the midst of all that darkness, my light, kind of like a glowworm. Okay, so I guess I'm going to get part of my story in. When I was little, I was so comforted by my glowworm. It didn't give much light, but it was better than no light at all. It was the most comforting thing. So no matter where you are in your level, and hey, maybe the next time I get on here, I'm going to have more to report, but I do have some clientele already. I got over, Brendon helped me get over my guilt of, saying, well, it's a gift and, I shouldn't, charge for it. And he actually said it's a very common thing. So that's why I wanted to address it. I had no idea this was a common thing. Like, oh, it's a gift to me though, I should not charge for it. No, it's my time. And especially when you die, like, how valuable time is. Like, all we really have is time. So time, and it can be draining. Okay, so I'm reading, I'm picking everything up, I'm getting all these different feelings going on, and I'm putting myself in your shoes, and I'm seeing all these things, and I'm, communicating with these guides, and like it can get exhausting. But you do get replenished. Okay, but that is worth it. If that's the gifts that I was given, I kind of think of gifts as paint, and then the tool is your paintbrush. So if you never pick up your paintbrush and dip it in the paint, You're never going to see the artist that you are. Just because you may not paint. I love to paint. I love to draw. I love to write. I love to play piano. I love to do yoga. I'm a yoga instructor. That's another thing that I am. I love plants. I'm not allowed to have any animals where I live. So my sister keeps my guinea pigs. I mean, guys, I'm just here to tell you that this is something you should not, I shouldn't say should not. This is something that if you're teetering, please let me be the example. Because before I joined, even my hands probably before I joined, I can never imagine myself speaking my truth with so much empowerment. And that's where those tears of joy come from. That's where this I'm always committed and dedicated to my spiritual self, but like this is now like taking actions, and love is an action, not a verb. So love
Mhm.
is an action. Take action, show love. 2020 is coming. Let's see what more love can get us. Okay, and we can even think past 2020. I'm going to have a video on my page on manifesting, how to manifest things into your world, and things that will literally work. Doors just kind of open. Alanna, Panda, I heard you guys kind of tiptoeing on that. Doors open, don't they? Like just like boom, boom, like doors start opening, and like you realize that like, hey, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be taken care of. Like as long as I do this, as long as I do, and like this is pretty cool that I can do this, as a vessel, like as long as I'm doing this, everything will be fine. And it's this peace that comes over you that is just so comforting, especially if you're feeling, this tug inside of you. And like I don't have many regrets in my life, but I do because I learned from them. But I do regret not joining sooner. I have grown so much already, and every rose has their thorn. Brendon, I'm done.
That's
I
take
probably
take a
jacked.
breather, Lily. I'll because again, I think again, first of all, I just want to say you did a wonderful job. Like, thank you again, and I like again, I think like Lily kind of said it herself. Like, even just being on this broadcast is a milestone. Like, this is her kind of like going outside of her comfort zone, and again, really like go kind of going back to the meditation that we did on the 12/12 about like claiming our voice, owning our voice, and remembering that like our voice is our sword, like our words are our sword. Like the word sword, it literally has like it's SWORDS, words. So it's like our voice is our sword. And so like when we kind of claim our voice, claim our ability to kind of like express our passions, our stories, our value, our invitations for people to be a part of our story, that's like us like holding our sword up. It's like holding our Excalibur up. So I see Lily, this is very much like her kind of doing that, where she's kind of like it's just like Thundercats, oh, like that's it's all of us kind of like 90s Thundercats reference there. But nonetheless, Lily, thank you for sharing. And I did just kind of want to just kind of like reiterate what it is that you do, and also again, so like Lily, so she makes candles and she puts like crystals in the candles in like a very kind of like intuitive, intentional fashion, which is really
Based on the
cool.
color candle, meaning like based on
Right.
what, like
And
blue means something different, purple does, those are more the magical, and then there's yellow, and they all have different healing properties. People have vivid
yeah, for me too.
imaginations and think I'll put some dream work, so it calls to me, and so I can actually create a candle that helps me open this portal. So I'm gonna zip it.
So candles again, so just kind of like giving you a bit of a list again for those of you who are like meeting Lily for the first time, and
But they're
we'll post a
based
link
on
for
readings
Lily's
usually, unless
Insta.
I'm at an event. So
Right, yeah,
unless
so
I'm
we'll
at an event, it's me giving a reading. Like I give the reading, I feel what you need, and like, but I want the person to come to their own conclusion. So I will literally wait until they come to that conclusion. But like at events, I'll have it already bagged for them, and it's just kind of like a whoa, because it just like shows
mhm.
people that like, yes, I intuitively knew what you needed. Like, so then they go with more belief. It's not showing off. No, it's not that. It's just, I want them to know that, yes, you were meant to have this candle, because every candle that I make, when I'm pouring it, I am in setting the intention that it goes where it needs to go. If somebody hesitates on the candle, like, I don't even want them to have it because it's not meant for you. It's for somebody else. Like, it's not about the
Mhm.
money. It's about me helping others on their journey. So some are for concentration, some are for money, monetary value, some are for banishing negative energy, some are for truth and purity, some are for love of self and others, some are for working on your psychic abilities and helping you enhance those. I mean, there's so many benefits. And then I'll put like my
So many
essential
candles.
oils that have like benefits too. So they're all soy natural.
That's awesome. So again, so for those of you who are kind of like meeting Lily for the first time, the candles thing is just part of what she does. And then again, this is kind of like where she's in the process of kind of beginning to expand into other things, but she's starting to get into, again, like doing a lot of live broadcasts, and this is where I want to be able to invite you, and then we're gonna kind of just like shift gears and kind of open up the conversation and just again kind of get things relatively, like, we'll shift into that next phase of the discussion where we're visioning 2020. But again, one thing that Lily's kind of moving into, and we were talking about her setting up her Patreon and stuff. She's talking about like doing some tarot readings through live broadcasts, but also creating some YouTube videos. So Lily, maybe just give us in a short form a little bit of kind of like what you're visioning, and this can kind of be the segue, what you're visioning in terms of creating in terms of conscious media. You know, you got some like YouTube videos that you're starting to think about, and again, what people might be able to expect when they tune into your content. And with that said, again, inviting people here to tune into Lily's content, and you can find her on her Instagram, and where did my notes go for that? And that's again at instagram.com light_love_lives. That's her current Instagram URL. And also at lily.lives.505 on Facebook. And again, we'll post those into the chat and into the show notes so that you can connect with her and tune into her on one or the other platform, or both, because again, she's currently kind of like doing some lives on Facebook, and then her Instagram is still it's constant work in progress and everything like that. But basically, tune into her now as she continues to grow. But Lily, just in a short version of it, just tell us a little bit of kind of again what people can expect when they tune into more of your content. And again, just beyond the candles,
Can
what
you
other
guys see me?
services? Yeah, we still see you.
Okay, I can't see you for something
Oh, it might be
happened with my
glitched.
screen, but that's
Okay,
okay.
fair enough. Okay, so again, just context wise, Lily, you can just kind of tell them what they can kind of expect by tuning into your content, and you don't have to have the full answer for this. And again, any other services that you provide that people might be able to contact you about, even, you know, after this broadcast, if that's something that you want
Thank
to let them
you.
know about. And then from there, we'll kind of shift the conversation.
Yes.
So go ahead, Lily, back to you.
Thank you so much. So yes, I do give readings. I do also, it's not like a button that you can push though. I do have the ability to be a medium, and like 99% of the time, you know, I can connect, but every now and again, like I don't have every answer. So I don't pretend to either. So I've been giving some more readings. And again, the proof is in the pudding. So I'm planting seeds. I have a nursery where I encourage people to include life into their, you know, homes, and just encourage them to take care of a life other than their own. I also I do have my yoga instructor license, and so there will be plenty of yoga. My content is just strictly from empowerment, and I want to empower others. And I do like open meditations too, meditation circles. So,
Awesome.
yeah. And it's just basically, I just want to help. I do charity. I do charity too, but like, I'm very humble, and I just make it a goal to help at least one person every day. And I know that I'm the most important person, and I know that together we are one.
Awesome. Sweet. Lily, thank you again. And again, for those of you looking to connect with Lily, please do. Please absolutely do. Make sure that you're following her on Instagram. And do you have your YouTube channel set up yet? Or is that something that's
It's in progress. Maybe we
it's coming
can
soon. Okay,
talk
cool.
about that.
Well, because
Not now.
well, that's kind of okay. We can talk about that later. Yeah, and so what we'll do now, we'll kind of begin to segue the conversation, and again, we'll get all of us kind of talking at once, Panda, Alanna as well, and again, just kind of when we have the discussion here, this still is part of the practice. And I want all of us here, and maybe we'll just take a moment to kind of meditate before we shift into that next part of the meditation, to kind of drop into that heart space of asking ourselves, what is needed? What is needed from ourselves as individuals, as leaders? What is needed for the community as we kind of move into 2020? And we can kind of allow yourself to kind of be open to what that means to you. And again, and I think a lot of what is needed is the continuation of what is already well underway in terms of, again, us coming together as a team, as a collective, kind of broadcasting this story through social media. You know, the importance of things like more guided meditations, experiential events, opportunities for people to connect with their soul tribe. Such a powerful thing. And again, just going back to kind of like what Lilly was saying, you know, you could feel when Lilly was saying like, hey, being a part of this community is like really meaningful for me. So we need to kind of keep in mind, especially if we're being kind of that host through our own social media, or if we're hosting a local event, that there are going to be people who are going to connect to us and they're going to be like, yo, I've been looking for something like this. And now that I found it, this feels like it's kind of like a new chapter of my story. So if you're like hosting an event, know that there are always these people who are kind of just beginning their spiritual awakening, just beginning their process of self-actualization. And then as they do this, for us to be there to kind of like say like, hey, like, welcome, you know, like welcome to the tribe, welcome to the story, welcome to the family. That's such a powerful thing. And so that's again just kind of like one thing to begin visioning as we talk a little bit, and again also celebrate where we have come from as we get ready to move from 2019 into 2020. And again, I invite people to kind of, and I'm sure everyone's kind of already on board with this, but the idea of like 2020 equals clear vision, clarity of vision. So it's like, everyone get your like paradigm shifting spectacles on so that we can like, you know, invoke that clarity and everything. So I invite everybody.
I am so sorry, but I had the 7 C's and like you just literally segued
What did I do?
right into that, because I was gonna talk about the 7 C's and manifestation. And guys, thank you so much for being patient with me. Brendon, if you need to like tell me to stop, then that's totally cool.
Yeah, we'll share this, Lily, and then we're gonna do a quick little meditation. Or we can do the meditation first.
Let's do the meditation first. Yes.
Okay, yeah, and you can share it within the context of kind of, okay, cool.
Okay, it just
so
segued in, and I really
yeah, that's cool. Before we do that, I just wanted to invite Panda, Alanna, did you want to just even respond to Lily? Because she was kind of like talking to you guys at one point, and I just wanted, if you would just want to, again, just express any gratitude or respond to her, please feel free to do that. And again, part of that is like us like celebrating each other as members of the team. So I invite you to do that. Go ahead if you wish.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you so much, Lily, for your kind energy and words. Always. I picked up on you and your energy when we first saw you too. I'm just like, what? She's
I love the spirit. You can see the aura just radiating off you. So kind, so bubbly. I can see the healer within, and it's good to see and recognize another vessel, another conscious being on this planet.
Angel on earth.
Angel on earth. And just so you know, me and Lonnie love candles.
That's such a great idea. That's genius.
That's so cool. Like when you started talking about it, oh my god, yeah.
Yep.
So cool.
I love it. Thank you.
That's awesome. Sweet. All right. Perfect. Lily, did you want to respond to that? Go ahead if you want to.
Absolutely, you guys, please. Let's link up in the chat. Let's switch, some details around. And absolutely, I would be honored to make candles for you. Thank you.
That'd be cool. Sweet. All right, cool. Awesome. All right. Okay. So with that said, we're just going to do a very just kind of like drop in meditation. We'll just kind of connect with our breath. And from there, we're just going to kind of chit chat. And again, I invite people in the chat as we're here. For you, those of you tuned in, include your comments. What do you wish to bring into 2020? What do you wish to kind of like bring forth for yourself, for the community? Please feel free to share. What are your intentions for 2020? And we'll read some of those comments on air during this broadcast. For those of you tuning in on Facebook right now, we do currently have probably about like 30 people tuned in on Facebook. If you're tuning into this on Facebook, we invite you to jump over to YouTube as well. And you'll find the link for that in the information for this video by going to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/SkullBabylon. So make sure that if you're watching this and you're just like, yo, these guys are awesome, this team's awesome, I want to stay connected, stay connected either through subscribing to my YouTube, and again, connect to that broadcast right now. Make sure that you're following us on Instagram. My personal Instagram is Mystic Spider-Man, and make sure you're following our new team Instagram at Paradigm Shift Central. And yeah, I didn't really share any updates on the Paradigm Shift Central team page, but even just since the last broadcast that we did, that's continued to grow, and that's like where we're like featuring various conscious creators within the community. And basically the vision for that, for those of you who aren't familiar, is that like building this single Instagram channel so that it continues to grow. Anybody who we feature through there is like instantly being able to like be introduced to an audience of X number of hundreds of thousands of people. And so far we've been doing it, and like people who are well-established YouTubers and creators, as well as people who are up-and-coming creators. And so far, just like doing something that has never really been done on Instagram before. Our page is very unique. We're using Instagram in a way no one's ever used it before, based on my information in front of me. But again, as an example, for some of my friends who I was posting through there, over the course of us uploading to the Instagram page, like they were getting like 100 new followers within 24 hours, which was pretty cool because that's like authentic, like real relationships. And so again, I invite everyone here, make sure you're connected to Paradigm Shift Central on Instagram, and then follow featured creators that are being published through there. And the last thing I'll mention there is that new posts are published Monday to Friday between 3 and 5 p.m. and they're published 3 posts at a time. So if you see one post notification, go to the team page and make sure that you engage with all 3. And again, like follow the person that's being featured, connect with them, add your support, let them know that you found them through Paradigm Shift Central. Keep building that page. We're working towards our goal of 10K followers, and we're currently almost at about 1,600, which is actually really, really good considering we've only kind of like just started the page a little bit over a month ago. So we're building up momentum, and again, that's just like really providing something of value for the community, and that does synchronize into what we'll talk more about it with 2020. Again, just the what we can even create within social media, and how we can kind of again utilize that to be able to get our message out there. So we're going to switch into a little meditation, and for everybody here, just inviting you to get nice and comfortable. I'm just gonna turn off my camera light there. And for anybody here, just inviting you to just step away, put the phone off to the side, step off the chat for a second, and we'll just close our eyes and do a very simple meditation. So I just invite everyone to gently close their eyes. And I encourage you to be sitting down right now as if you were like sitting in a chair. So maybe if you're laying in bed, just gently bring yourself to the edge of your bed. And I want you to just straighten up your spine. And as you're sitting here, I want you to gently wiggle one of the most important parts of your body, and that is actually your bottom, what you're seated on. And I want you to just kind of like wiggle it back and forth as if you're wagging your tail right now. And I want you to just kind of like do that as you continue to just like open up your chest, just kind of lift your chest a little bit, and just kind of like wiggle your tailbone kind of like back and forth. Just do that a few more times. And then as you're doing this, just kind of like opening up the channels within you and begin connecting with your breath. And you can stop wiggling when you want or keep wiggling. And so we'll just connect with some gentle inhale exhales together. So deep, gentle inhale through the nose or the mouth. Nice big exhale with a bit of a sigh if you wish. And again, just deep inhale here. Nice big gentle exhale, bit of a sigh if you wish. And as you're in this space, I invite you, if you want, even just put your hands towards your chest, and we'll just drop into just this feeling of gratitude, just immense gratitude, just visualizing all of the people here together at this circle, this synergy circle. You, the person listening to this, we're all here at this circle together, and visualizing us all, each one just our own pillar of light, and just inviting in the sense of deep gratitude, connection for community, tribe, family, excitement, anticipation, just a overwhelming, all encompassing feeling of love and deep trust for the journey still ahead. Just take a couple moments here, and as you do this, just kind of be in this moment of oneness. So I'm just going to stop talking for 2 breaths. I want you to just be in your own silence and just be in this space of gratitude. Go ahead. As you continue to breathe here, just being present in this moment, let us just align with the intention, inviting us to reflect on the question of what is needed. What is needed in this moment? What is needed for tomorrow? And most importantly, not necessarily most importantly, but in particular, what is needed for this next year, this next 12 months of the calendar, this next rotation around the sun? What can we do to continue to move the story forward, to assist those who are waking up, to hold space for those who are continuing to activate, who are healing, who are reconnecting with themselves? What can we do to nurture the seeds within our hearts and to help lead people back to the wisdom of their hearts? And so just inviting that intention of that question, and then as we explore this next conversation, we'll just allow ourselves to practice being conduits and channels for the answers to be brought forth into the circle. So take another breath here, and on the exhale, just want to add like a little bit of a shake to your body. So in addition to your tail, you can just kind of do like a nice little wiggle. Deep inhale, exhale, wiggle your body. Give yourself a little bit of a shake. Do that again one more time. And now from here, we're going to practice some smile yana by taking the corners of our mouth and lifting them up towards our ears. So just do that. Just lift the corners of your mouth up towards your ears. This is called smile yana. And from there, we will follow it up with giggle yana. And we'll just gently practice bringing in, for no particular reason, a little bit of the giggle yana. And when you're ready, just gently bring your awareness back to your body, open your eyes, and return your awareness to the space around you. So, cool. Have you guys ever done smile yana before? Such a popular yoga move. Cool. All right. So, as we move into this next part of the broadcast, we're just going to set a time frame on this. I'm going to literally just say like no more than like 25 minutes, and then we'll wrap up this broadcast. And as we do this next part of the conversation, again, just kind of inviting us, what are we bringing with us into 2020? What can 2020 look like? What can it be? Where do we want to be able to help lead it as creators? And so I kind of already said this in the meditation, but in a very simple way, to be able to create context for our story. I've said this before. It's this idea of, something that came to me once in meditation where I was like, okay, like, who are we? What are we doing? I'm like, okay, we're leaders, right? What does that mean? And when I asked that question, a very profound answer came to me, and a very simple one. And the answer was, we are helping lead people back to their heart. Back to the heart, back to their heart. And so it kind of, when you ask that question the first time, it's like, where are we leading people? It's like your mind automatically thinks like, oh, like over there, somewhere external towards this objective. When in reality, again, we're helping lead people inwards. And so how do we create space for them to do that? And so this is where I feel, in addition to our social media, and I'll just put this forth because again, there's a lot to talk about, and I want you guys to practice just adding in, and we'll kind of free flow this conversation. The importance of community events is so essential. And again, these events can look in a lot of different ways. They can be kind of like open-minded discussion meditation. Maybe they can be ecstatic dance. Maybe it can be like either just a yoga class. Maybe it can be a little bit more to like even the electronic dance music style of event, something that's a little bit more party-ish style, but you could still have that in a very conscious way. You could promote even like substance-free environments, but again, just really anchoring in on an intention. And the reason why the physical events are so important is because there's a scientific way of being able to kind of understand what can happen when, for example, if one body is in a place of relaxation and they go near another body, like a person or a person, that field of that one body will help the other one kind of like transform into that vibration. So for example, if one person is relaxed and they're sitting next to someone else and that person is a little tense, that person will actually like begin to feel more relaxed simply in the presence of that person. And so you can literally see this this is an obvious example when you think of like something as simple as cuddling, you know, like that's why like sometimes it's like, oh, I had a bad day today, like honey, come cuddle me. And then you get that cuddle and then it's just like, oh, okay, thanks, sweet, your field helped me kind of like begin to relax. And again, through these events, what can happen is people get a lot of value out of them. They literally come out of the event different from when they came into the event. And again, that can be an experience where they met people who felt like soul tribe and soul family, and it really inspired them or ignited them. It can be like a sound healing ceremony and they just kind of needed to like, you know, do some like inner calibrations. It could have been a guided meditation. But by the end of these events, what can happen is that it begins nurturing the seed. It begins igniting the flame, and it allows them to continue to just like recharge their spiritual battery, you know. And I think like that is a very important thing in today's day and age of what is needed. And I'll just say this and I'll pass it over to Panda and Alanna, is that in today's day and age, you know, it's like, again, we're kind of going into Babylon and we're doing this thing and we're working the grind and we're going throughout, you know, we're walking down streets and we're dealing with bullshit every now and then. That energy can kind of like weigh on us. And so we need to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. We need to make sure that we're taking like energetic showers, so to speak. And again, these energetic showers can literally come in the way of like decompressing by going to a community event, by being around people of like-minded and like-hearted intention, by being able to dance it out of us, by being able to have that meditative experience. And then you kind of like you go through it. It's kind of like almost like going through like a spiritual car wash in a sense. And then you do this with the intention of like returning back into society with as much optimization. And I think I'll just say this, because again, this is kind of like coming to me as I'm saying this. I think what is needed for 2012, what year are we in? Feels like, are we still in 2012? Anyways, well, the ripple effect is there, but what is needed in 2020, I feel, is that no one needs to burn out. We don't need to anymore. We've done that enough, and we know why it happens. And now as a community, we can create the environments. And again, even literally this broadcast is a way that helps recharge that spiritual battery. So nowadays, like, we need to be in that place where, you know, if we need help, we know how to ask for it, or we know how to help, you know, facilitate it for ourselves. We have the events we can go to, or even if it just means, you know, like going out on our own, going into nature, knowing what's available, knowing kind of like the coping mechanisms of kind of like living in a very busy world. So I'll just say that is that community events is something that is super, super important for 2020. And I put that seed out there because it's something I'm very passionate about. And for all the other leading members, I know each and every single one of you is kind of, again, like focusing on things in your own ways. And again, these events, if you're not at the point where you're like, hey, I'm organizing full scale events, again, reminder that the exact same experience of an event can still happen in a one-to-one interaction. Sometimes it's like holding space for someone, having a meaningful conversation, being there for a friend. That's still just as important as the bigger events, because ultimately any of these events, it's always going to be the one-to-one interactions. It's just a multitude of one-to-one interactions kind of compounded upon each other. So yeah, the community events are something that I feel are really going to help serve as portals for synchronicity, to bring the tribe together, for people who may not be entirely connected to the rest of the community to suddenly like find their way a part of again, the bigger family. And this is happening again, both physically online, but offline as well, in the same way that our broadcasts are literally sending out a signal. And because of the intention of it, it's attracting certain people who are coming together and they're like, yo, this is actually like, I've been looking for something like this. This is so cool. And again, it's kind of like this non-linear idea that we were already kind of like connected and now we're just coming together. So I leave you with that idea of reminding that you are already connected to the people who you have yet to meet. So community events, and again, go out there, do free hugs, connecting with people. That's always going to be needed. But I think now as we move into 2020, there's just like more opportunity for that to just like really just be seen, make an impact, and for us to really help tell that story through social media. What's that? You're doing an awesome event in your community. tell it through social media, let people know, let them see that like that's the new trend, is like showing up in service. And again, also for us as entrepreneurs to be able to do it in a way where there's a reciprocation and we're being supported, and again, like I said, we're not having to burn out. So this is the new pattern for 2020. It's like being able to know like where you're like going up, and then like knowing how to rest, and then coming back up and knowing how to rest, opposed to going like go 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 go, and then you sacrifice your well-being and you burn out, and then that actually doesn't get you any further ahead. Even, you know, it's like, oh, I saw someone post about this yesterday. They're like, yeah, like I doubled my income, but at the sacrifice of my health and my well-being and like my like all the other things that are really important to me. So we don't need to do that. And again, the key for this optimization also comes from the little everyday habits, you know, like our diet, our sleep pattern, you know, like how, like meaningful social interactions, spending time out in nature, journaling, making sure that we're creating time to be able to practice fostering our spiritual gifts. Like not just spiritual gifts, but I say that literally just in our gifts, our artistic abilities, you know, things like that, investing in ourselves. And again, getting good food, all of these little things, cold showers, all of these little things like add up. They develop resilience. And I think that is kind of what is needed in 2020, is like more of us just really stepping into this badass activated avatar version of ourselves that shows by example, hey, you can do what you want to do for your living. You can be supported by the community. You don't have to burn out. You can like show up, party, have fun, be an awesome example in your community, lead by example, and help like bring more people together, and then just continue receiving the celebration of the impact that you're making together. And I think, you know, we kind of talked about this earlier today when I had my meeting, is that as much as, you know, you're hosting events and people are paying for them and you're making a little bit of money on the side, the real payoff, and this is what we're actually working towards, is again measured in the feedback that we get when someone comes to something that we facilitate and they say to us, hey, that mattered to me, or like that literally changed my life, or something like that, right? And that is our objective here collectively as a team, is to help as I refer to it, to help accelerate the shift in consciousness. And what I mean by that is, if you weren't to do this, consciousness would still keep shifting on its own. But by you choosing to put yourself in here, by you choosing to be the change you wish to see, by you choosing to show up, it helps move things forward faster. We accelerate the rate at which things begin to synchronize and learn and evolve and move through these new chapters and stages and levels within this psychedelic holographic game. So yeah, I'll just say that, and we'll pass it around. So again, just community events, like online community as well, and our personal resilience and showing up, not burning out, and yeah, like aligning with the law of efficiency, working smarter opposed to harder. So we'll pass over Panda. Alanna, what downloads are you kind of getting that is needed for 2020 for community and for us individually as you know, leaders and shifters? Passing it over to you. Go ahead.
Right aligned with you there. Rest is a big theme that we're bringing into 2020. Had a lot of experiences with that in 2019, just, you know, yeah, working too hard and not having too much to show for it. We're like, all right, what are we doing here? So yeah, working smarter, not harder is
yes.
big
Going into
us.
2020, we definitely want to help manifest financial freedom and showing people ways that you can do that, because we've already had experiences over the past 2 years of, you know, either saving money or making money on social media, and showing people how they can do that consciously and create for themselves, and just creating either videos on it. We want to further our conscious content, create more videos on YouTube, show people that, you know, you are a multidimensional being within a psychedelic fractal universe, you know, giving people those seeds so eventually they can blossom into the awakening. As far as offline, continuing to hold the workshops like we've been doing, like the Remind Yourself, Reiki meditation, and yoga.
And we're planning on doing some traveling in the next year, so bringing that, you know, within the United States and internationally. So yeah, looking forward to that.
We're definitely we're potentially looking at, you know, some places in Central America as well. So, you know, there's a big community, a big spiritual community out there that we would like to hit. But our goal over this next year is to travel to basically as many spiritual hotbeds as we can and soak up as much knowledge as we can, so we can continue to grow ourselves and share that with, the collective. Because as you raise yourself up, you're raising up the vibration of everyone else too that you come in contact with. So our overall goal is just to continue to grow, continue to work on ourselves,
Cultivate
and
those self-care practices and, share with others. And, like you were saying, Brendan, with going in nature and journaling, and I totally resonate with that as well. And I know a lot of people that helps them too.
excellent, just as a tip, an overall tip, an excellent practice for shedding any like energetic heaviness you're holding on to is called grounding. So going out into nature, and it's similar to nature bathing, to forest bathing as well. Going out into nature, like say you got a beach or you got grass somewhere, wherever you're going, going out in bare feet. Of course, watch wherever you're walking. Use good sense. Like if you see a bunch of sharp things, please don't walk barefoot on it. But you
You
know,
gotta say that.
get out. Like I've got to say it because there's always somebody, and I was that person, so I understand. But that being said, just and you let whatever you're holding on to go down into your feet. You imagine your feet as roots going out into the ground, and you can just energetically let that go. So that's a good way of it's a good a form of energetic release. It's a good energy tactic that you can use. Just something simple that you can do. Hugging a tree, grounding your energy into the tree. Of course, if you're going to ground your energy into a tree, it sounds wild, but ask that tree permission first. Little mental ask, but it's a good place that most. I've never met a tree that has not been willing to take energy into the earth because Mother Nature is very giving and loving and willing to take on what we want to shed. So, but I always say, in anything you do, ask permission.
Always.
So yeah, that's what we got going on.
Cool. That's great.
Yeah.
And do you guys want to again just kind of like you've already kind of talked about it, but again, like even on like the bigger scale, the like beyond just your personal story, like individually, community, collectively, like what like just kind of visually, like what does Instagram need in 2020? What do we need more of, right? Like and the way how do we can kind of get clarity on this is to kind of think, like if I'm just the audience, if I'm the viewer, what do I get most excited about? And so I'll give you an example. What we're doing right here is something that I think, people are getting excited about, to be able to see like different, like YouTubers and conscious creators coming together and be like, yo, like I follow that person, and now they're like in the same broadcast and they're supporting each other in this team. So I mean, again, if you have an answer outside of like social media and everything like that, or just kind of even again the bigger picture, again, we're just kind of brainstorming and inviting in any other ideas there. If you have anything that comes to mind, go for it.
I mean, yeah, I think well, first of all, if we can find a way around the whole shadow banning of certain hashtags, that'd be fantastic. But a little shade there, but it happens. But just yeah, in general, I think you're right. Events like this, conscious influencers, creators, whatever you want to call them, supporting each other, getting into groups like this, and showing, say, hey, we're all here to lift each other up. So I think it really resonates with me what you said. But
And hosting meetups in person and online, and like you said, ecstatic dance. I want to host more dance workshops and, mindful movement, moving meditation, anything having to do with that. And
maybe like retreats for conscious creators. That would be cool to get all of us together in person. Something like that.
doing more with vegan food and maybe doing like some potlucks and, just trying to spread the word and share the noms.
That's awesome. Sweet. All right. That's perfect for now. And yeah, I agree. Like, like that's the thing for people who are thinking here, find things that you can do that again, kind of align with like the law of efficiency, things that just kind of like are, again, kind of like easy for you to do. So if doing a vegan potluck is something that's just like, yo, I can do that. Like I can tell my friends like, hey, let's do this weekend, and maybe I'll host it out of my house or something like that. Go ahead, do that. Or again, like maybe if it is like, oh, like I want to do another idea for an event that we're talking about in our local community is like hosting events where there's like speakers, or have like 3 people kind of like sharing a talk over the course of an evening. That's another style of event. Again, maybe it's like organizing, going out and doing free hugs as a group of people or something like that. There's really no limit. But again, like that's getting into the mindset of what it means to be a shifter within the context of the Paradigm Shift Central community. Again, for those of you who may be brand new to this, the term shifter like literally refers to like a paradigm shifter, and it's the definition we give it is someone who is intentionally helping assist with the shift in consciousness through acts of creativity and compassion. So every single day is an opportunity to be able to help change the world, to be able to help plant a seed, to be able to help like put out a signal. And I think that's a big part of what is needed, is just like kind of like us getting really good at consistently being present. Not to the point where we're burning ourselves out, but to the point where like that message is being seen, it's being heard. And a big thing that's important for us as leaders is again really just bringing like the authenticity of who we are. And owning our value and owning our worth. And again, that's something that definitely like within the leading members of the community, that's a big thing that we're really helping people get into, is for us to be able to say like, yo, like my time is like worth like, you know, it's worth my time. It's worth it for me to be able to like spend time holding space for others, to share my gifts. And the one thing I'll just say here, and then we'll pass it around some more. I think in 2020, a big thing that all of us, every single person listening to this needs to do is to practice developing your gifts. And I say your gifts almost, last night we were doing tarot reading and this came up, and the card was called spiritual service. And basically it was referring to this idea of being able to become aware of thought processes and belief patterns that no longer serve us, that basically say, oh, I'm not good enough to do that. Oh, I suck at playing guitar, so I'm not going to bother. Oh, I'm not as good as that person, so I should just, it's not worth, you know, I'm not allowed to do it, or something like that. Those belief patterns are actually almost just like, they're coming from like a place of like woundedness. And so if we can kind of acknowledge them, then it gives us the opportunity of just being able to say like, oh, like that's actually like based on like a false belief. And then we can actually kind of remove that, replace it with something like, yo, I'm worthy enough to play. I give myself permission to like get my hands dirty, to make art in ways I've never made art before, to explore a craft that maybe I've always been interested in but have never done. Like, what's that? I watch people doing dancing and stuff online, and maybe I want to do more of that. And so there's a lot of people that are going through this internal paradigm shift where they're removing these kind of like mental blocks, these mental obstacles. And if you think of the brain literally almost as like a hard drive, you have to understand that those thought processes, the limiting belief ones, are literally taking up space. And so when we remove them, we literally create room for new beliefs, for new parts of our story. And again, the part of our story is, oh, by me cultivating my gifts, again, my artistic abilities, my ability to like listen, to talk, to speak, to sing, to vision, to storytell. We all have all these different gifts. By me doing that, it allows me to get better at doing that so that it can be shared, because it's not just me, and it's actually the way of how other people will see me also doing this, and it gives them permission. It's this idea of like being kind of like permissionaries, is a term that I feel that is really like relative in today's day and age. So again, just as quick context, the other day, a friend of ours, I actually saw two people do this yesterday. Two people posted up videos of them playing guitar and literally wrote like, yo, like I'm not good at this, but I'm doing it anyways, and I'm posting it online. And it actually was still pretty good, right? So it's like in their mind, it's like, oh, it's not good enough. But meanwhile, for someone who's seeing this, they're just like, if they can do it, I can do it. If they're doing it, I have permission to do it too. And so again, by us tapping into our gifts, this is literally us like cultivating our superpowers. And that is what is changing the world, because those gifts, they're for us, but they're for us to share. Like, it's literally something that we kind of like unwrap, but it's like actually like the presence of the gift is actually like brought to its fullness when it is shared, like when it is something that like other people can be a part of that experience too. Again, in relative context, sometimes your gift might be just like getting good at meditation or something like that, which again can turn into this idea of like, oh, if I practice meditation, then I can actually teach other people how to practice meditation as well. So it's like, by doing this, and the more of us just consciously removing those blocks of you know, saying I'm not good enough to try this, and just getting more into that playful spirit, that playful energy, and just experimenting with new forms of expression. That is like such a powerful way to be able to help accelerate the shift in consciousness, again, kind of in subtle ways that over time make a big difference. And just imagine in 10 years from now, we're at that point where there's a generation where like kids are encouraged and naturally in this place where, you know, like they're at that point where they're like, they if they want to be artistic and they want to play music, like we're behind them. We'll be like, yo, do that, like follow your gifts, right? Like that's, I feel like, and this is kind of a side topic, but I feel, you know, just, but more so for context, because I want you to understand what I'm saying. If we were to create like another form of education, instead of trying to like tell kids like, oh, you need to be like a scientist, you need to be this, you need to be this, you need to be this, I feel another way is to kind of like hold space for them to begin to kind of like naturally bring forth the thing that they are already meant to be. Like within inside them is already like this programming, this again, this bigger story that's kind of non-linear. Like within inside that like 13-year-old kid is the kid who's going to be, you know, like an amazing artist, or is going to be, again, like a, you know, a super badass YouTuber, or is going to be like an amazing dancer or something like that. So instead of trying to like tell them what they need to be, we just have to create space for them to be able to begin to naturally bring that forth. And as much as, and the reason why I'm saying this, because there's many of us now who are doing that right now, who are at that process, who we're still asking those questions of like, what are my gifts? Like what are my gifts? And the good news is that every single one of us has gifts. And that doesn't come as a pressure to say like, oh, you have to find your gift. Because again, the gifts are multitude, and they're simple things. And again, like I said, the gift can literally be like being a good listener. And you know, like having a conversation with someone and asking them what they're passionate about. You know, it's a little things like that. It's this idea that nothing is unseen, and the kindness that you share with one person ripples into the entire collective. And we have to be reminded of that. So wherever the universe, to check, for those of you watching on YouTube, can you drop an 1111 in the chat to make sure that you guys can still hear me okay? I just want to make sure there's that the video is coming through properly. Okay, perfect, thanks. So we'll pass it, Panda, Alanna, I'm not, if you want to respond to anything, and then we'll pass it to Lilly, and then we'll wrap this up in about less than probably 10 minutes, I would say. Go ahead, pass it over to you.
Yeah, so to extend off of that, as far as following your gifts, you know, what he really is saying to be the truth, like they can really be anything. Like if you go on my Instagram page, you'll see really quick that I like a couple of things. I like meditation, Reiki, yoga, hanging out with Lonnie, and basketball. So I'm a huge lover of basketball. Ever since I've been little, I've had the craziest dream. You know, I want to be a pro basketball player. You know what the statistics say, like 1% of 1% gets to be NBA basketball players, whatever. I've been playing as long as I can remember. I wasn't great in high school. I got cut in college, and I just kept playing and kept going, putting the time in, kept doing it in the gym. And there's a league called the ABA, the American Basketball Association, that I got the chance to try out for a team this year. I made the team. So I'm at 27 years old. I'm a professional basketball player. And, you know, it's something that for the longest time, everyone said, you know, oh, you can't do it. You're too short. You're too this, you're too that. I just kept believing in myself, manifested it, kept putting the time and the work in. I continued to believe. That's all I did, is continue to believe and have faith in myself. And I play, you know, I'm kind of low on the depth chart. I'm a rookie. I'm not starting or anything. I'm not playing a whole lot. I'm still working up my way up. But like, I'm a professional basketball player at 27. The way that I did it, people just don't do that. It doesn't happen. And I realize that I'm lucky and I'm blessed. And it's a result of my faith in myself and the universe and being able to manifest those dreams and desires. And it's the only person who's going to really tell you no is yourself. You are the only person who chooses whether or not to stand in your way. And it's hard to come back around and accept that. But once you accept that, it lifts a huge weight off your shoulders. It helps liberate you. And, you know, I may not be being paid millions of dollars to play basketball. I don't care. I love the game. I would pay to play. To me, all that matters is that I can tell my story and say, hey, for my entire life, I was told, you can't do this. you can't be a pro basketball player. You're a Japanese kid who no one plays basketball. Like, you're short, blah, blah, blah. BS, man. I'm a professional basketball player. I rep the St. Augustine Glory. Yeah, maybe the ABA, but I'm a pro basketball player. And I did the damn thing because I had that belief, that wherewithal, and I got to that point, and I had the support, the love that someone said, instead of like trashing my dream, I had someone lean into my dream. This woman stayed with me for untold hours, passing me the ball. Like, it and when you have that kind of love and support and belief in yourself, and you can rise up, and I promise y'all, you can do anything you want to do. So having done that, having made some money off of social media, we know that we can have that financial freedom. Everyone can have that. You can have whatever you want. It's possible. It's so possible. And all that it takes is you buying in and having that belief in the faith, that divine connection. And that's all I can say. I mean,
the only person getting in your way is you, for sure. So get out of your own way. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, it's about tapping into your gifts, and that's definitely a theme for me, especially this past year and going into 2020. I love to dance and surf and do yoga and just anything with movement and nature and stuff like that. So getting back to dance even more. I just injured myself minorly a couple days ago, just stubbed my toe really bad and like bruised it. So that was just a big message from the universe for me to just slow down and just really take it step by step, be aware of my surroundings. So I've been appreciating this downtime and tapping more into painting and stuff like that. I remember you saying that, Lily, that you like to paint, and I never thought I was a really good artist or anything like that, but I just started, and now I'm like, wow, I'm actually really good at this. Like, why didn't I start sooner? So definitely going to be turning that into a business too at some point. So I'm super stoked.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Sweet. Yes. No, thank you. Thank you both so much. And Alanna, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to pass the ball to Panda, literally and metaphorically as well. You know, it's yes. And I'll just say a quick thing here, and then we'll pass it over to Lilly. Again, just in terms of like kind of what's coming through as I'm listening to this, and the vision was already in mind, but I just want to reinforce it. What is needed in 2020 is us celebrating each other. And again, like that's basically saying, like, you know, loving each other, but literally celebrating each other, you know, like going out of your way to compliment someone, because that may be like something super easy for you, but you have no idea how far that compliment may go. You know, that might be someone who, again, is just like kind of like feeling like they're not good enough, and then you come along and you're just like, hey, I really appreciate you sharing your gift. Please keep doing that, because the world needs it. The world will be changed by your weird, you know, like, and so it's like kind of this idea that I'm sure a lot of us who probably like are in this circle right now, a lot of us were kind of like the weird kids growing up. We were kind of outside the circle. People wouldn't fully get us or understand us and everything like that. And so imagine to kind of just like be able to see yourself in others, and to see them kind of like in this self-doubt, and they're not really fully sure, but then to be able to be reiterated with the celebration of your support, to be able to just say like, hey, I really loved what you did there. Keep doing it. This is important. The world needs this. And to celebrate those achievements, to celebrate those little milestones, that is such an important thing. And again, like that goes for between us and adults, and that goes for like us, like towards like the younger generations. And again, that's the vision of what we're creating here. And this has been a part of Paradigm Shift for quite some time. Since the beginning has always been, again, like creating patterns that will kind of like weave their way into culture, that will like ripple into generations to come. So, you know, like virtues like compassion and kindness and creativity, by us anchoring it in now, and by bringing it in now, it becomes like instantly more accessible for those future generations. And we help literally kind of like lead the pack and set the example and create the path for the river to flow, sort of thing. So yeah, just celebrating each other, and again, showing up to support our friends. And the other thing I'll just say real quick, and this is kind of related to Alanna talking about, you know, like her dancing and everything like that. What we need to do for 2020 is to do the things that ignite our spirit. So what our job is to become as alive as possible, you know? And so again, that goes back to the idea of like taking care of ourselves, treating ourselves well, sleeping well, but not just that, but doing the things that ignite our soul. So again, that means like going out and dancing and expressing ourselves, kind of what I was saying, but like literally like paying attention, you know, like getting good at even just on a regular basis of being like, what does my soul need right now? What does my soul need right now? And again, sometimes what it's going to need is like the company of like-minded people and things like that. But again, getting into that state where we're just we're like, each one of us is becoming like beacons, pillars of light. And so let's keep becoming brighter beacons, brighter pillars of light, so that more people can again just be inspired by us living our passion, living our love, being out there and saying like, this is the new cool, like this is the new way, this is like what we're encoding into the mainstream. We're past the point of kind of superficiality, and yes, that will always be a part of culture, but within this, as especially again like social media influencers, quote unquote, let's give people like, let's be role models for people to be like, yo, like kindness is cool, you know, and like you can still be a badass and care about the planet at the same time. And so that's what we're doing. Like we're literally, again, we're here to really just approach things from this optimistic perspective that the differences are taking place, and they're taking place simply by us, by us like bringing that change from within. And again, I know that's said, it's like it literally begins from within, but at the end of the day, your job, and I say this to everyone, your job first and foremost is to take care of yourself. And when you take care of yourself, everything else will kind of ripple out from that. And kind of going back to what Alanna and Panda were saying, you know, it's like, hey, if you have these visions, you can do this. And again, part of taking care of yourself, it also means investing in yourself, you know? So of like, hey, if there's like, if you want to learn how to do this and there's a program that is like worth your time and worth your investment, do that. Develop those skills, level up your ability, learn from experts. There's so much information in today's day and age, and there's so many other coaches and leaders and everything to learn from. Invest in yourself. You're investing in yourself literally just by listening to this broadcast and kind of being a part of the vibes and being like, okay, sweet, like this is like I'm doing this. Like here I was thinking I wasn't changing the world, but I am changing the world, literally just by working on myself, literally just by like, again, just like showing respect for the people around me, for the world around me, and for myself. So again, celebrating each other's accomplishments and doing the things that ignite our spirit, that is another part of what's needed in 2020. Lily, if you're ready, we're going to pass over to you. Again, we're going to get close to wrapping up this broadcast. Sometimes this happens where we're just like, we're going to wrap up this broadcast in the next 20 minutes. And then it's like an hour later and, and then we just keep going. But again, passing it over to you, Lily, and inviting you to kind of share what is needed for 2020 for the community, for the collective. And then we'll wrap up the broadcast with a little bit more discussion within the next, I would say, 15 minutes, give or take. Lily, if you're ready, passing it over to you, and Panda and Alanna, thanks again.
Speaking of igniting your passion, my candles are called inner flame candles. And like the Urban Dictionary definition is igniting your heart's desire. So that just kind of reminded me of that. But what I got after some, just like Panda said, like it just comes to you like a 56-page book and you just wrote it. And the 7 C's is kind of how I'm going to remember this and kind of incorporate it into my 2020. And kind of reminds me of like just wanting to have 2020 vision, and how can I have that 2020 vision for 2020. And for anyone who's lost on that, like 2020 is perfect vision. I actually have 2014, which is better than 2020, which makes me a freak. So the 7 C's, like it's just basically just summarizing it as kind of having a meditative mind, that kind of mind that we have during meditation. In ancient days, 7 C's referred to all of the oceans, and like a lagoon that was separated by like sandbars. So there's many like sailed the 7 C's. Okay, so like that's SEAS. And these are 7 C's like with the letter C. So to get this meditative mind, I think it's important that we're mindful to be calm, cleansing, clear, concise, making conscious decisions, um, taking advantage of all the choices that we possibly can, and then challenging. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Conscious choices is one, is one thing. You make a conscious choice. And then 7, you challenge yourself. The word conceive, in order to conceive this actually means to impregnate. And it doesn't necessarily mean like a fetus or a baby or another soul, a miracle on this earth. It can be in regards to conceiving a plant, like a seed. You can plant it in your mind and begin to cultivate that, and that will begin to grow. A couple things that were mentioned was, just making space. So again, just trying to be calm, cleansing, make sure that you're taking care of your body energetically, physically, and spiritually. All these components. A lot of people fail with their New Year's resolutions because it's only like surface level, and they get sad and depressed statistically and things like that. But a way that we can kind of get past that surface level is by having a mindful mind and making these conscious choices, and actually, being open to the idea of impregnating our minds with these positive seeds. And I just hope that this message was received with all the love that's inside of me, guys, because I think if you were to really put that into a POA, then, and I were to as well, then we could see some big differences and get past surface level resolutions and make it more about love, which is an action, and challenge ourselves this year to just have that 2020 vision, like instead of hindsight being 2020, that we see 2020. And I love what Brendon said about future generations. Like my generation was like, always put on a smile, never be sad, never feel this or that, and kind of taught to hide our emotions. And I think a generation full of, just flames, little stars, full of people who can um, embrace themselves and not feel like the weird one, but more special and unique, and then be able to see that in other people as well. And there's just not this one direct path you're supposed to take in life, and if you don't, then you're lost. Just because my path is different doesn't mean I'm lost. It means I'm found. So I mean, that's really what my message for 2020 is. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Lily. That was wonderful. Awesome. Sweet. All right. Thank you again, everyone. So proud of you. And what we're going to do right now, I actually want to be able to read some comments from the chat. I was just inviting people in the chat. So inviting you to answer the question, what is needed in 2020? And you can kind of answer that if you want to answer that relative to a personal perspective. That's cool. And again, kind of thinking what is needed on the collective level as well. And I'll take a moment here as people are just like adding in any comments there. And just as like, again, like I before the broadcast here, we're just kind of chit chatting and stuff like this for a second, but there's a purpose to what I'm about to say. The things that we have been doing and the things that we have been like sending out there as a message, they're beginning to be reflected within the mainstream. They are starting to kind of like pop up here and there, like we've seen it through like, just like mindfulness and yoga becoming more popular and things like that. But there really is this message that is starting to like really be felt by a lot of people within mainstream culture of, again, kind of like activating the inner hero, being your own superhero. And also particularly today, I went and I saw a new movie called Spies in Disguise. It's a animated movie where Will Smith is a super cool James Bond spy, and then he gets turned into a pigeon. And it's as wacky and crazy as it sounds. And I'm not going to tell you about the whole movie. But what was really cool is because whenever I see these movies, I'm always looking for conscious themes. And one of the themes in this movie was about this weird kid. He's like kind of like this kid who makes all the gadgets. And it's like him as a young kid. and he eventually grows up, and his mother was like always encouraging him, and she said, like, like basically this kid was like creating gadgets where instead of having to blow people up, it would bring them together. So he would, like, for example, this is just like one of the gadgets. It would like release like glitter spray, and he's like, glitter makes people happy. So if they see the glitter spray, then they'll like be happy, and then it will like distract and defuse the situation type thing. And so his mother is just kind of like, oh wow, like, I see what you're doing. And again, and kind of what I said earlier, she's like the world will be changed because of your weird. Because, and again, the word weird like goes back to its origins and really basically means like magical, enchanted in that sense. And so like let us celebrate the weirdness, the weird ones that we are. And the other message within this movie was basically, again, kind of like, instead of like trying to fight fire with fire, it's to be able to like meet things with compassion, and it's like, if we just fight fire with fire, everyone gets burned. But we're starting to learn this new way of being able to, and again, we're practicing this on a personal level. If someone in your reality is like showing up and they're frustrated, have the mindfulness of understanding that instead of just like meeting them with more frustration, that there's other ways to address things where you can actually see it from a more empathetic level, and to meet them with compassion, and to practice like holding that space, and to be able to understand that if they're projecting that, there's probably like something inside of them that just needs a little bit of love and everything like that. So there's a lot of people out there who are again just like awakening up to this idea of, again, like the power of love, the power of compassion, the power to be our own Jedi, our own superhero, the power to carry both the shadow and the light at the same time. And I think that's also, I'll just say this, because again, this is kind of coming to me. What is needed in 2020 is to release the stories of shame associated with our shadows. A lot of people it's just like, oh wow, like I'm not entirely perfect, and I have to like be like, it's hard, like am I allowed, like, do it can get very confusing. It's like, am I a horrible person because there's a little bit of shadow in me or something like that? But again, by being able to not just like see the shadow as like who we are, but rather see the shadow as something that we have chosen to carry for the purpose of being able to help heal it, to transform it. And part of what we're doing, without needing to get too metaphysical, is like, we're literally, this is actually pretty crazy. This is a very, very exciting idea. Within our generation right now, over the course of like the next X number of years, we are, and this is more theoretical, but you tell me if it makes sense, we are literally like working on healing like thousands of years of ancestral trauma that have been passed on into who we are now, and we're literally healing this within a single lifetime. Like that's something that I'm kind of like seeing is actually what's happening right now. It's like, oh, all those shadows and stuff, that's not even just yours. That's actually kind of been like ancestrally kind of passed on through your lineage. And again, you carry it because you're strong enough to transform it. And again, to transform it with love, kindness, compassion, having the supportive community, holding space, and just, again, being able to like redirect our focus towards being able to go out there and help shift paradigms and spread compassion in those ways. And so again, I see a lot of what is happening in 2020 relative to kind of like what we've been seeing within the microcosm and the macrocosm, is kind of like this, again, kind of like the resurgence of the shadow. But out of this, when we see what we don't want, it helps us figure out what we do want. It's like, oh, like the ocean's really polluted, I don't want that. What do I want? Clean environment. Oh, the rainforest is on fire, I don't want that. What do I want? Good harmony with nature. Oh, people are hurting each other, I don't want that. What do we want? Like peace and kindness between community and everything like that. So again, I see 2020 as just like, we are in the most exciting time to be alive right now, and the world is the best it has ever been, in a relative perspective, in the sense that, I mean, like, there is as little wars as there has ever been throughout history. We have this incredible technological advancement at our fingertip. We are more connected than ever. Yes, there's a yin and yang to all of it, but there's also the chance for us to make an incredible amount of impact, and again, to be able to invite people to be a part of this shared story. And what is this shared story? This is a story here happening right now of more and more of us self-actualizing, activating into our potential, and helping change the world through our creativity, through our kindness, through our weirdness, through our magic, through our love, all of those things. And we won't even fully know the full ripple effect of that. But we know that there's a calling inside of us that says this is what is needed. And so let us trust that we already know what is needed. And part of how we get there is simply by making space to be able to listen to our heart and to get, and I will say that is what is needed for 2020, is to get good at listening to our intuition, to get good at listening to our heart in that sense. And then out of that, the wisdom kind of comes through us. The direction will kind of come through us. So yeah, I just want to put that out there. We'll go around the circle one last time for any closing thoughts, and then we're going to wrap up this broadcast. I'm just going to read the comments here. Again, going back to me asking people in the chat, what is needed for 2012? Or sorry, geez, 2020, whatever, same thing. It's all relative. Charles says, for 2020, I'm making sure my energies flow where I intend. Very good, Charles. Or simply said, becoming less closed-minded about the end result. Perfect. Charles, thank you for sharing. Mark says, one of our Patreon supporters, needed in 2020, acceptance of the consequence of belief systems versus the consequence of accepting realities. Mark, thank you for sharing that as well. Is there other questions? Any other responses there? If there are any other responses to, again, kind of what we need in 2020, please feel free to leave those in the chat. But again, what is needed for us to simply keep showing up, for us to be present, and for us to be able to like be a part of the flow that is moving through us, and yeah, and to be able to have fun doing it, and to play, and to enjoy the ride, and to share in that excitement, and to celebrate our success together. Victory is a shared success. Let's go around the circle one last time. We're going to close it off. So please, if you have any other visions of what's needed in 2020, that's fine. Otherwise, you can close it off with any closing thoughts to the people tuned into this, and even just some gratitude that you would like to express for the community, for being here, and anything else you would like to share. Go right ahead. Panda, Alanna, we'll pass over to you.
Yeah, just once again, thank you so much, Brendon and Lilly, for having us here. And thank you all so much for tuning in and chatting with us. And I'm just so excited for this moment and this day and closing out 2019 and welcoming 2020 with an open mind, heart, and spirit, and just looking forward to all the abundance that is here for all of us now and always.
Thank you.
Yes.
I want to extend some gratitude to Lonnie for always being on our side, Brendon for hosting, Lilly for your wonderful energy and insights, everyone in the chat box who's interacting. I saw some great conversations. Everyone who's watching, everyone who watches in the future, thank you so much for being a part of the paradigm shift. Like, you guys are how it gets done. We get it done within ourselves and throughout each other. So thank you. The last thing I want to leave you guys with is the Reiki ideals. So there's just 5 ideals that it starts with just for today. But what I would like to say is, instead of just for today, I think we've all passed the point for we can go just for 2020 or for 2020. So they are as follows. I will let go of anger. I will let go of worry. I will give thanks for my many blessings. I will do my work honestly, and I am kind to my neighbor and every living thing. Those are the 5 Reiki ideals. Generally, it's just for today, and then you say these things that do it a day-by-day thing. If that's easier for you, start out with just for today in front of each one of them. But I want to make that a theme throughout the entire year and just something to go by and live by. And thank you guys so much for being here to witness and listen. And I'll pass it on.
Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you too. Sorry, there we go. Okay, now you can hear me. Perfect. Thank you too. And yeah, just again, even as you're saying that, it's just more ideas are kind of flowing in, and obviously the conversation is much bigger than just what fits into this broadcast. But yeah, you're right. I like that idea that like part of what is needed is gratitude. Gratitude for what is, gratitude for where we are, gratitude for where we're growing, gratitude for the hard times, the easy times, the fun times, the uncertain times, for the mystery, gratitude for all of it. And again, that gratitude comes from part of our own spiritual awakening, which is I feel really brought forward when we can kind of begin to trust. And that trust comes through experience, and that experience is directly connected to this knowing that, like, again, we are taken care of. and the universe is literally here to be able to help create the best reality possible, to be able to help serve in the awakening of our consciousness. And again, that comes with a caveat where basically it doesn't mean that, you know, you're here, the universe is here to make you happy, but the universe is here to evolve you, to evolve your spirit, to make you stronger, for you to step into your gifts. So absolutely, let us look back on our past, the hard times, the good times, the fun times, all of it, with gratitude as we continue to move forward into the future. That's just such a powerful idea there. So again, thank you as well, both of you, for holding space and for being a part of this discussion. And yeah, again, just for us together, continuing to cultivate the inspiration, and that's another part of what is needed. Inspiration, cultivating it. I'll say this, I'll pass it to Lily. Inspiration is one of the most valuable resources that we have in today's society. So the inspiration is cultivated through us together as community, and then it is kind of carried and then passed on even further. So for everyone here, by you listening to this, it helps you cultivate inspiration, and then you pass that inspiration on to others. And what is needed? To give people hope. And I think that for me has always been a big part of Paradigm Shift, is to give people hope. When they see leaders, people coming together, people actively trying to change the world, the opposite spectrum of apathy, and instead people choosing to engage, it again just reminds them that there are people out there who are making a difference, who are showing up, who are doing the work. And again, like through that, it invites them to be a part of that, story, and for them to let us be hope, let us be hopeful, and let us just be a continuation of, again, a very beautiful story that is unfolding through us, that we refer to as, again, this awakening of consciousness. And you know, again, may all beings be happy, may all beings be like alleviated from suffering. That's a big part of it too, kind of like the bodhisattva mindset. So help us alleviate suffering while deepening our wisdom, our knowledge, and expanding our growth. Lily, I'm going to pass over to you, and like I said, we're going to wrap this up in the next minute. I feel like there's obviously more ideas, but we'll keep it relatively contained within this broadcast. Lily, go ahead. Passing over to you. Any other, again, just like closing thoughts, gratitude?
Actually, I think that so many topics of discussion were explained tremendously well. So, Alanna and Panda, I want to thank you so much for you and your energy. You're just exuding love, and you guys just keep doing what you're doing. Brendon, thank you for having me on the show, on your YouTube channel. I really appreciate it. This again is practice for me to, and also hopefully inspiration for somebody that you too can do this as well. You know, it seems kind of funny to some people that, you know, just getting on YouTube might be somewhat of a challenge, but it feels so good and so rewarding when you do it. So this year I'll just be challenging myself more and more and more, and just embracing and loving myself and my gifts, and in turn that's going to impact people. And having gratitude 100%, like I'm just speechless right now. It's just amazing. It's been a great last 2019 episode, I think, and I'm very privileged that it's a part of my journey. Thank you. Very blessed.
Beautiful. Awesome. Wonderful. All right. So yeah, thank you again, everyone, for being a part of this broadcast, for helping cultivate the inspiration that we're creating here as a team. And again, what is needed, in one way of putting it, is for us to continue to activate into the light guardians, the shifters, the badass Jedis, the superheroes, the psychedelic superheroes, the cosmic badasses, whatever name that you want to call yourself. Just know that it is a reflection of the power that is already inside of you. And so what is needed for us to be able to become better dreamers within the dream, and that begins by awakening to our own potential, and for us to be mirrors, for us to see more of ourselves. So keep going out there, keep spreading compassion, keep having those meaningful conversations, keep doing things like free hugs, keep creating your art, keep going outside of your comfort zone, keep expressing gratitude, keep connecting with community, keep being a vortex for synchronicity to be able to bring people together. We change the world by changing one person's world at a time, and together, collectively, that is like where the bigger difference takes place. And from my own experience, again, you know, seeds that I planted years ago, people will still message me and just be like, hey, like, thank you so much for like what you're doing. It's made a huge difference in my life. And so if they're saying that to me, know that there are going to be people that will be able to feel the same way simply by you sharing your story. And each of us, our story is not just our own. And so let our story be an opportunity for people to see themselves in that story, and for them to be able to, again, see hope within our shared story. So if we can do it, I can do it, you can do it, and together we're all doing it. And it's just such a beautiful symphony. It's a beautiful dance. And again, it's a complete honor for me to be here, kind of like literally 10 years ago, starting this project and still having the vision of kind of where we were going to. And now we're here. And again, we're continuing to just take steps further. So let's keep growing our presence on social media. Let's keep telling the story through the content that we're creating. Let's keep showing up with that media medicine that's going to nurture the spirit inside people, invite them to connect with community, and call them into action. Get out there in your community, do things like free hugs for
as anything.
Absolutely.
Like I couldn't experience with you. Namaste.
Instagram. Hopefully you have Instagram. Otherwise, you can connect with them on Facebook. And again, I'll post and do that as a few more about what they're doing and what they're. Please feel free to just send me a message on Instagram at Mystic Spider-Man, Paradigm Shift Central, our team page. If you would like to be able to support on Patreon, be sure to check that out at patreon.com/Brendon Culleton. And Blue Marion Light Guardian Crystals, get discounts for items at the Quest item shop to be able to help support you as well, and lots more other value. ParadigmShiftCentral.com. Join in again Sundays at 7 p.m. for our first Synergy. If you haven't already yet, share this wherever platform you are on, and it continues through the love that we share. So with that said, on behalf of myself and everybody else here, let's wrap up this broadcast. Thank you again, everyone, so much. Go ahead, make some noise, and we'll play the outro music, and then we'll wrap it up. So all right. Beautiful. All right. Thank you again, everyone. You guys, if you just want to gently unmute your microphones, and we'll bring up the outro music, and that will conclude the show. On behalf of myself and all the team, much love. Keep it shifty, and we will see you in the future.
I'm just gonna use the restroom really quick.
Thank you again to our friend Danny Leonardo, whose music is featured at the beginning and end of this broadcast. Be sure to check out more of Danny's work in the information in YouTube below. Thank you, Danny.